What's going on, everybody? It's your host, Will Cooper, coming back for a new episode of the HuntStand podcast. On today's episode, we are going to be talking with good partners of ours over at BaseCamp Leasing and Country Real Estate. We're going to be sitting down with Mr. Nathan Mrnak as well as Tom James. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking exactly what BaseCamp Leasing and Country Real Estate does, how they do it, how long they've been doing it, and going down a few rabbit holes. We'll talk some deer hunting, we'll talk some HuntStand, we'll go through a bunch of different things, but we're going to get them on here because I know personally how hard it is to find a place to hunt or how hard it is to find a piece of property to own. And so BaseCamp is here to bridge that gap, make it a little bit easier. And so I'm going to let them talk about it and delve more into it in this podcast. And so I'm going to let Nathan and Tom go into that with us. But again, y'all, we just want to thank y'all for tuning into the HuntStand podcast. We really appreciate the support. All the support we've gotten from y'all so far has been amazing, and this podcast has been a lot of fun for me. And so I just want to say thank you to all the listeners out there. And if you're tuning in for the first time, I want to say thank you for checking out the HuntStand podcast. You know, you got a lot of different podcasts out there. You got lots of different choices, and so I just want to say thank you for choosing the HuntStand podcast. And if you haven't yet, make sure y'all download the HuntStand app. We have a free version. We've got Pro that you can upgrade to, and now new, we have our Pro Whitetail version, and there's a lot of different new features that are on that I think y'all would love to have this whitetail season. We're going to have a whitetail activity forecast layer. You're going to have a rut map layer. There is an aerial imagery layer. There is a crop layer. There is a whitetail habitat layer. There's a lot more to it. So if y'all want to get the HuntStand app, get you the free version or upgrade to either Pro or Pro Whitetail. Again, y'all, we just want to say thank you for tuning in to the HuntStand podcast. I'm going to quit rambling, and here's our fellas, Nathan and Tom. All right, gentlemen, y'all ready to get this thing rolling?
Yes.
Sure. Well, let's get it started, guys. Well, first and foremost, want to thank y'all for hopping on the HuntStand podcast with me, and thank you for having me at your HQ today.
You bet.
Man, we got some rain going. We got some rain.
I know it. It's about time, isn't it, Tom?
It rained all night long. Still raining this morning, and we needed it badly. It's been just a great blessing to have that.
Yes.
Well, it's kind of nice to hear some thunder and see some rain being from Texas.
You sleep well?
Oh, I slept like a baby.
I bet you did.
I slept like a champ.
Up at 3 o'clock yesterday morning to try to get here, and we had a good evening, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah, we did. As soon as my head hit the pillow, out, done. Well, guys, one of the things I like to do to get the podcast rolling is I like for each of the guests to let the listeners in on who you are. So kind of give us the 30-foot tree stand view of who you are, where you're from, and kind of how you've gotten to where you are today. So, Nate, we'll start out with you, man.
You bet. I took the long route of getting into the outdoor industry. From northern Minnesota, grew up in the backwoods of northern Minnesota, and grew up just hunting and fishing. It was our substance. You know, that's what we ate. We ate wild game and caught our fish, and that's really what we put in the freezer every week. So I grew up with a father and a brother that took me out and taught me all the great things about the outdoors, and I fell in love with it from day one. But started a career in law enforcement and was only in there for about 4 years.
Okay.
But it kind of took a turn for me. I was ready to get out, and I didn't know what to do with a criminal justice degree. And I'll be darned if Cabela's did not have, they were just starting their asset protection program at Cabela's. So it's about as close to law enforcement, if you will, you know, in the retail sector.
Yeah.
And it just clicked with me. Mm-hmm. First of all, you know, the Cabela's brand, the legacy behind that, and then my passion for the outdoors. Boy, when that position came available and I got hired, I was on cloud nine.
Heck yeah.
So, I mean, that was back in late 2004, 2005. And I spent a good 12 years with them and enjoyed my time with them. And I learned so much from them about the outdoor industry and got to rub shoulders with some great industry professionals at Cabela's and outside of Cabela's.
Heck yeah.
And there was a transition point where I thought, there's something more out there for me. Mm-hmm. Had been put into several leadership positions and enjoyed them, enjoyed building a team and working with marketing folks and operators and just all the folks that make the world go around for us. And this position came up at BaseCamp Leasing in 2017, I believe. I came out here, interviewed with our owner, Steve Meng, who's an incredible guy, one of the most intelligent people I've ever been around. And literally had a 3-day interview with the guy. it was impressive. First and foremost, we got through the business.
Wow.
In a day.
Yeah.
He tried to, I guess, find out if I really knew my way around a P&L and operations and all that stuff. And once we got through that, the interview continued. We shot our bows, went out and shot skeet.
Dang.
He really wanted to make sure that I lived the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because that is so important to Steve in the businesses that he runs. So, from there, I mean, it went quick. I got hired. I actually got on board in 2018 and 8 months with a leasing company before Steve kind of threw a wrench in my plans and trying to get my feet underneath me. He's like, hey, what about starting a real estate company? The synergy between the two companies is great, obviously. Yeah. And with BaseCamp Leasing, we're dealing with landowners all the time.
Oh, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. When they leave the program because they want to sell their property or, sometimes the landowners pass away and the family doesn't know what to do with the property. They end up selling it. And it was a great connection for us to start a real estate company to keep these valued landowners within our family for as long as we could and take care of them. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's the 30,000 foot view of how I got here.
That's what I like, man.
Yeah.
That sounds like a pretty cool story, especially the whole background with criminal justice and where you are now.
I don't care where you're at, what profession you're in. It's all about people. So if you get your foot in the door anywhere in the outdoor industry and you can deal with folks and understand the importance of what leadership truly means, you can make that connection anywhere. You can come from any profession and work in this industry.
Man, it's so true. I've seen it. I've had experience with it. I feel like you may know everything in the world, but it doesn't really matter when you don't have that connection with somebody.
Right.
It's not about what you know. It's about who you know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And a long time ago, I was told by my old man, he said, no matter how smart you think you are, just surround yourself with smarter people and everything will go great. And I've done that with Tom and this team here. My standards are pretty low, obviously. I'm not the smartest guy in the room ever, but I can tell you these folks here at BaseCamp Leasing, BaseCamp Country, and American Hunting Lease Association are fantastic to work with.
We all got a heck of a team here.
Yeah.
You got a heck of a team. So, Tom, give us that 30-foot tree stand view of you, man.
Well, before I go anywhere with that, his criminal background.
Oh,
yes,
yeah, criminal background,
criminal investigation, and a look into the mindset of how people operate and function. It's been a little intimidating to some of us that work around him because he'll say something once in a while like, you fit this profile, or there's something about the way that you're meant. So he's kind of processing things a lot of times through that background. So it kind of keeps us on our toes around here.
I know. After I had dinner with y'all last night, and you said a couple things. I'm like, dang, I wonder what they were thinking about me last night.
One of the very first times he and I rode together for a meeting a couple hours north of here, and we had been friends already for a while.
Yeah. But
he commented after that day was over, I watched how you were calculating and preparing yourself for this meeting today. And he goes, so he was analyzing my behavior even before. Well, I didn't know.
He's watching every move.
Exactly right. I was fortunate enough for my folks to move out to the country in 1976 when I was in 5th grade.
Okay.
Gave my age away a little bit there. But before that, I was in town. And it opened up a whole new world for me. I had a brother that's 2 years younger than I. And back then in the 70s, your mom could open the door in summer and not expect to see you till supper time. It wasn't like it is today. So I had the liberty to go explore and walk the creeks, and I'd see a patch woods 2 miles across the fields over there and go look at it. You know? Issues with trespassing didn't cross my mind back then, but it was a lot different time, and that interest led into I started trapping muskrats and hunting squirrels with a .22 rifle, and got a .22 when I can't even remember. I think I was only 12 years old. My folks trusted me enough with that. The progression led from small game, kind of like a lot of people do, but just that interest in wanting to explore the land and learn everything there was to it. I immersed myself in books and read everything I could get my hands on. Fur Fishing Game Magazine, Outdoor Life, Field to Stream. I got a coon hound pup. Watched Where the Red Fern Grows. That movie hooked me on the passion for hunting with hounds. So trapping, hunting, predator calling. Eventually, led me to the interest of the next step with big game. And I was at Purdue, and was introduced to a brother of a gal that I was dating that was interested in deer hunting about the same time. He had a bow, and he had a backup bow, and I think there was 3 arrows of different diameters and lengths that he let me have. I was using a finger tab.
Yeah.
I could hit a paper plate at 20 yards on a straw bale, and this was rural Hamilton County, not far from here in Carmel, which kind of gives it away. It's all developed now, but back then there was farms, and it was one of the earlier areas that I even could see a white-tailed deer. And my very first time deer hunting in that scenario with Larry, he turned me loose out of the truck one morning, and he knew no more than I did. We were just 2 guys just trying to figure this out. I walked through the dark down in the cornfield, got up into a tree and straddled a limb with my legs hanging over it. And I put the 2 extra arrows. I didn't have a quiver. I carried them in my hand. And this is how I hugged the limb and watched over the edge of that cornfield where the fence line comes into that woodlot. Wouldn't you know, a 1.5-year-old 7-pointer at daylight walked by, and I harvested my very first deer.
Heck yeah.
And it just, no gear, no experience, no nothing. I just dumped my way into it, lucked into it. But that set into motion a lifelong passion of bow hunting and the love for whitetails, and combining that with all that background of the exploring and wanting to learn and know more about land. It just parlayed into a passion. I'm probably going too long about this.
No, not at all.
Purdue, I started in wildlife biology, wildlife management. And my sophomore year, we had a reality exposure to reality with one of our professors, talking about the market for wildlife biologists and game managers, wildlife management people. The job placement levels were like 20% or less of the graduating class could expect to land a job in the field. Those of us that did could start a starting salary at that time was $12,000, and I went home that night, and I think I called my folks back home and said, man, I just don't want to be wasting your money. And I don't know that this will end up getting me where I want to be. So the very next day, I declared my major as landscape architecture with a minor in wildlife management.
Okay.
And I finished Purdue through the landscape architecture course. And when I left there, I started working for a landscape contractor as a designer and as a crew leader. But about 1.5 years, 2 years into that, I just felt I've always had this thing about wanting to do things on my own and being self-driven that way, motivated. So I started a business, Sugar Creek Landscaping, and for the next 25 years, I owned and operated a design, installation, maintenance landscape company here in the Indianapolis area.
Dang.
But never gave up the wildlife side. I just was a part of who I was. There was a point in 2002 or 3 that I underwent a really serious medical operation. I had a spinal cord surgery, and I was on my back for about 3 months.
What'd you do?
I actually had a tumor on my spinal cord. It developed about the size of a quarter, right on the right spots, and it was affecting my nervous system. And went in just thinking, I'm not feeling right. And next thing I know, I've got to go through this major surgery. It was a life-changing moment, and there was a risk for me being paralyzed coming out of that surgery.
Holy crap, man.
They said frankly up front that it's right there on these nerves, and if we don't get it all, there's a risk of your paralysis or damage. Or thank God, I came through fine, experiencing just some really minor side effects, but easy to live with and cope with. But
how did you, kind of tell us, what were you experiencing that made you go to the doctor?
A little bit of numbness in my legs.
Okay.
And the most obvious thing, and I think a lot of people are going to hear this, it's a little embarrassing to say, but difficulty urinating. I couldn't go to the bathroom. It's like I tried to, but nothing was happening down there. So the nerves were being affected that it controlled my bladder. And
that's some serious stuff.
Yeah. And I knew something was up there.
Scary.
Yeah, that is.
So that, if you have any weird symptoms that pop up like that, don't brush it off and just think it's, you'll get over it, because that would have not happened.
Yeah, go to your doctor for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So during that time, I was on my back, and the Craig and Neil Doherty had just released a book. Grow 'em Right, I believe, is the name of that book. And those guys operated North Country Whitetails in New York. And they, at the time, it was like the first food plot wildlife habitat management book that I think, in my own opinion, at that time was really modern. It was really the next level. Guys were throwing, imperial whitetail clover food plots down, and it obviously happened in the southern states, and the interest level came north. But I was doing what I could with my landscaping equipment during those years, and we had just bought our first property, and I was using a chainsaw to clear a field or a logging deck, and then taking a box grader, which is basically a scraper, to remove roots, I should say, and clods and things, and level it out. And hand casting seed and using a push spreader or a shoulder seeder for fertilizer. But that's how we were seeding lawn, turf grass. That we did lots and lots and lots of acres of turf grass. So I could grow seed, I could grow grass, and I thought, just use that information and that experience level to do the food plot stuff with the clover and some of the things that were becoming popular at the time. But about that time, the Plot Master first came out, and I was really intrigued with that idea that there was a one piece does all on one unit, because what I experienced was the 3 or 4 different pieces that you need to get the job done efficiently, and that was a pain in the butt, especially if you're by yourself and traveling distances. So I thought, they've got a good concept there, but I just don't know that thing is robust enough and built like a commercial piece of equipment for somebody like that I would want to have. And that set me on a journey of, well, why can't I do that? Why can't I? So the concept, I went and visited as soon as I was able, I booked a trip to the Doherty's facility. I did the tour with those guys, and I had a conversation with them on the back side of the deal. And I said, I think I have a concept that I want you to look at when it's done. And it was really, truly, where I'm going with this is the Furminator food plot implement was born from the idea of a cultipacker, a real set of cast iron cultipacker wheels on a ground-driven seed metering system on a heavy frame and a disking, because the Plot Master had an electric dropper. It had the sweep harrows for working the ground, and they had a little drag and a small smooth steel roller on the back. Again, concept there, quality and heaviness and ruggedness.
Yeah.
No knock on their piece, because it was priced at accordingly.
Yeah.
I came back from that Doherty trip and contacted a local manufacturer, fabricator, and came up with the first prototype of the Furminator. And from that point on, it was just a huge passion of mine. This thing, when you believe in something so thoroughly, you could throw a wet blanket on you and roll you around and get up, and you never, you need to go a different direction. You could have threw, whatever. Punched me 100 times and said, "Don't do that again." I was going to do it again.
You would have kept going.
That's how firmly I believed in it, and it was a really awesome timing, because the industry was really taking off with seed and the interest in management. I was actively involved in QDMA. Really had some opportunities there. I'm talking 100 miles an hour because I feel like I'm taking too much time. Started advertising.
We got plenty of time, man.
Deer and Deer Hunting magazine, in the Quality Whitetails magazine of the QDMA, also the North American Whitetail. Started booking some trade shows, went to the Midwest trade shows, and started selling units. And it really grew rapidly, and there was a huge interest level there. This is just my wife and I, together with our landscaping income, funding this side project to try to bring this
traveling, manning the booth.
Oh yeah. And paying $2,000 for a half-page ad for one issue. So it opened my eyes to a whole new world, and I was exposed, like thrown into the lion's den of being in a big industry as a young man with not having any background or experience whatsoever. Craig Doherty was instrumental in getting me started. He was a mentor of mine. He, if you guys don't know, he was like the CEO of Golden Eagle Archery for years and years, and then he had so many connections in the outdoor industry, and then him and Neil ran the North Country Whitetails business and was hugely successful at that time. And he was just a really good man, a good mentor, took me under his wing and introduced me to Charlie Alsheimer and some different folks. And Charlie let me use some of his photography work for my early ads.
Heck yeah.
He came and spoke at a couple of our field day events. Just some really good people that believed in what I was doing at the time. Went through several steps of growth. Demand kept increasing. No longer could keep up with building orders the way I was doing it. Split from that original manufacturer and went to another guy. We changed some things on the machine that I think felt like it needed improvement to bring up to the standard that I was looking for. A process of like 3 evolution changes of different people building them for me and with me. I say for me because at first it was, I had a welder coming in and welding frames. I was taking frames and seed boxes to a powder coating plant, dropping them off, picking them up. I was ordering the components. And these guys at the machine shop were making, cutting gears and welding sprockets and doing things like that. But I was putting them together myself in the evenings. And that lasted for a couple of years, and it was killing me. And as excited as I was about it, I had created this beast, now, and it needed to be taken care of.
You had to feed the beast.
I did. Yeah, I did the best I could. But something happened around 2007 and 8, and the economy just went to the floor. And the year up to that, we were really ramping up to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
So I was buying Cultipackers by the thousands instead of 25 at a time. And then I was buying metering systems and shafts and sprockets and chains and bearings and disc blades and you name it all in big bulk quantities. So hundreds of thousands of dollars of components, sitting in a warehouse ready to go, because we wanted to be able to sell. If a guy ordered a unit, it's going to go out the door. I wanted to have inventory in stock. Projection was going from 50 units a year to hopefully 150 the next year.
Wow.
And was set to do that. And then all of a sudden, just the earth went flat.
The fan.
It hit the fan. People no longer needed to buy a food plot implement. They needed to feed their family and pay gas. And wonder where their next house payment was coming from. So the luxury items went into neutral, and unfortunately my product was a luxury item. So we limped along for a few years just trying to keep it.
Your full-time hustle.
Exactly.
Took a hit.
Dramatically. That was probably the biggest thing, Nate, is that if landscaping and the industry that I was sustaining with had stayed at the level that it would have, we could have survived. But in the housing bust, all these custom home builders that we were working for that had spec homes everywhere around town and, $500,000 homes on the books and then everything dries up and those guys, a lot of them went out of business overnight, and we got left hanging with invoices that never got paid. And it was a horrible time to be in business. I mean, I know a lot of guys are listening to this that were concrete men and brick masons and drywall guys and you name it. Everybody felt that in a very bad way.
And now we're facing down the barrel of something similar.
It's eerily similar. Yeah. You see the writing on the wall. So about this time when it was really getting critical for me, a wonderful man by the name of Lester Renew in Milner, Georgia, saw one of my units at a sports show in Alabama or Georgia, and walked up to my buddy that was promoting my product down there and said, "How much is that unit?" And he's $10,000, and he goes, "Who do I make the check out to?" Didn't even want to see it or take it out or use it. He looked at it and knew it was what he was looking for. Sold it to him. Steve delivered it for him, took it to his farm, showed him how to use it. And the next thing you know, like 2 weeks later, he's calling back and says, "Can you connect me with the guy that makes these?" And that was the next phone call I got. And I said, "Sure, yeah." And he invited me down and wanted to build them for me. He was a big fabricator in Central Georgia. And he said, "I think I can even do you better price-wise from what you're currently paying." My wife and I drove down, spent the day with him at his establishment, and left there extremely excited. But also I got to I shared my issue with him, where I was at. On the way home, Lester called me and he said, "Hey, I've been sitting here with my staff and talking all day since you guys have left." And he goes, I want to buy the Furminator. I want to own it. Would you consider doing that?
Wow.
And yeah, it was God's timing.
Yeah.
I was in a rock and a hard place, and there was no more options for me. And he came at just the right time.
Mm-hmm.
He rescued the product. He saved my butt and got me back on level ground again.
Heck yeah.
And has taken that machine and done with it what I would have never been able to do on my own.
All it took was one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a household name now. Gosh,
Still a lot of pride in that, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. That's our baby, And every time I see it on a show or on a magazine or on somebody's post on Facebook, I just grin and just that's us.
Are you involved at all anymore? Or?
I can still sell. Quite a few guys still know that I was involved in the originator, and I connect guys all the time with them to help them buy one.
Heck
But
yeah.
other than that, it's. They do call even to this day.
Really?
I'm really close with all the guys there, and to this day I'll get questions like, "Hey, we have a customer that wants to plant this very odd, unique species of plant seed, and I'll still do some consulting with them that way. You need to set it at 3/8 of an inch and do this first before you start dropping seed, and here's the successional methods for doing that. But yeah, I still am, and it's been a great relationship.
Heck yeah. And here you are now.
Here I am now. What I left out was I also during that time needed to change career paths from landscaping. Went on a sabbatical and professionally trapped for a couple years on properties all across the southern U.S. for predator control work. Came back, took on a position with Whitetail Properties, selling real estate in East Central Indiana.
Heck yeah.
And did that for about 5 years. And then Steve Mang, our gracious owner that's been a buddy of mine for a long time, when Nate came on board and he tasked Nate to start the real estate division, they sought me out and asked if I would be willing to take this leap of faith and be the point guy at the sales manager position here at the company. And I told him no 3 times, didn't I?
Yes. Yeah, 3
He was playing
times.
hardball.
Oh,
Well, I was just finally kind of secure in a spot, and I was happy with what was going on. And
I had a dark beard before I met Tom.
He caused all the gray?
Yes. Yeah, and my 2 daughters, obviously. But thank goodness he did say yes. And it's been a great journey watching this team grow, and the leadership that Tom brings and the cultural aspect of what Tom brings in his leadership is second to none.
Yeah.
Coming from a brand like Cabela's, I understand what a legacy brand is, and everybody in this office understands that's really what Steve Mang is all about as well. I mean, Leasing's been around since 1999.
Man,
that's a while now.
Yeah, that's wild. When you look at it, that's been a while now.
Over 20 years to have a brand in the outdoor industry and to watch it continually grow, and then to add another company like BaseCamp Country Real Estate on board, and to get guys like Tom on board, it's mission critical.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep. We've been blessed with a really good team, haven't we?
we have.
And you're growing.
And we're growing.
Well, guys, that's why we're here today. And I want to let the listeners know what all y'all do. What exactly BaseCamp does from multiple perspectives, and teach them about what you do. So kind of tell us, what are the different parts of the business, and let's just dive into it, man.
You bet. I'll give you a quick summary, and I think the COO of American Hunting Lease Association, Sean Verbrash, puts it best. Mm-hmm. We're all about access to the outdoors. And if you look at our business models between AHLA and what they bring to the table as far as allowing folks to buy coverage for their landowners when they go out there and hunt, and so everybody's covered and everybody feels good about the situation when they lease a property from a landowner. You got that side covered. It's almost kind of like a DIY type of piece, right?
Yeah. Then
you have the leasing side. Man, we're out there marketing our butts off to try to find landowners, and educate them on the leasing program and what we can do and how we have them covered from a liability perspective as well, and the amount of income they can actually make from that resource that they have, which is that private land, which is really sought after today as a hunter, right? We all know how competitive public land hunting can be.
Big time.
Yes. And there are other markets, there's markets in the U.S. that have been in the leasing side of the industry many more years than the Midwest. I mean, you're from the South, you understand. It's been around for a very long time. That market's very, very mature. And then, to bring it home, the real estate side of the business, again, we're connecting those people who have kind of made their way through the journey of the DIY, and they can afford a lease to, I want my own chunk of property. I want my own dirt that I can play on. So if you really look at the three companies, three pillars of BaseCamp Country, we've kind of got the all access covered for hunters. And don't get me wrong, the BaseCamp Country Real Estate and BaseCamp Leasing specifically is a very landowner centric business. Because obviously they're the ones providing access, right?
Right.
So we do everything in our power, at least on the leasing side, to make sure we can connect with as many landowners across the U.S. Heck, we're in 29 different states now, I believe. And just creating opportunities for guys like you and I to go out and lease a good piece of property and go out there and treat it like it's our own, and with respect and respect the game and hunt it and spend time with family, build memories and all that. So that's kind of a high level.
Tell us about, for the guy out there that's listening to this right now, and he's hearing this like, wait a minute, you mean I have a way to find leased land now? Because from Texas, I'm very fortunate, and I married into some land with my wife, and I'm very fortunate and get to hunt a piece of property.
Best way to do it, Will.
Yes. So all those listening out there, make sure you date a woman long enough to find out. Which Connor over here, does your girl have land? I hope so.
She does. He's smart.
Smart man.
Yep.
But what I was getting at before that, I was constantly trying to scour the internet, classifieds, the bulletin board at the grocery store and stuff, trying to find a deer lease, because in Texas they are very far and few between, or at least that's what I thought. But the problem is they just go so quick,
very quick.
And so what y'all have, I look at it, I'm like, damn, I really wish I had that 5-10 years ago, or knew about it. I didn't know about it then, but I do now. And so kind of tell those guys, what all y'all offer from that perspective. I mean, not only for the hunter, but the landowner as well.
Can I set this up for you?
Absolutely. Coming
Coming into it from an outside perspective, just like you looked at it before I joined the company, I've always known about their primary goal here is to provide access and to connect landowners with guys that are actively seeking those opportunities. Even to this day, our new agents that hire on with us as a real estate agent, they'll get a buddy that says, "Hey man, I see you're part of BaseCamp now. Can you let me know what kind of properties are out there?" And so the guys, just without lack of knowledge, those agents will contact the leasing agent and say, "Hey, a buddy of mine's looking for a property." And it's kind of comical now, because when you understand the business model and the demand that's out there, you almost want to say, get in line behind these other thousands of guys over here, because it's really that way. So I've had to tell a few of our agents, man, no disrespect for your buddy, but he's really best served to get online and buy a membership. That way you have a really legitimate chance to see what's out there. And from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the demand is incredible today.
It's insane.
So there's no lack of hunters, right? Looking for a nice piece of quality land to go hunt with your family or buddies or whatever it may be. And there's certain spots within the U.S. that have much higher demand. I mean, I'm not kidding you. If we have a property that rolls out in Ohio, and you're not a wall hanger member, and you expect to get a good quality piece of land to lease, it's gonna be pretty tough. We've got a lot of guys in line that are logged in at 8:00 on the website on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, waiting for the new releases to come out. And you'd be lucky to be able to put a deposit one if it's out there for more than 5 minutes.
Tell me about these memberships. I hear wall hanger. I think we talked
wall hanger 8.4 corn.
Yeah, tell me about these memberships and what all it provides you subscribe to that.
You bet. So really, the wall hanger membership allows you 10 days like ahead access of any free subscriber.
Okay.
So we even have members that are free subscribers. So what happens on Monday, Wednesday, Friday when we get new properties in, we'll release whenever they came in. We'll release them on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8:00 Eastern Standard Time, and that's out there 10 days before the free subscribers.
Okay.
It's out there 7 days before 8 points.
Is there anything left for the free subscribers at that point?
Well, there is. I mean, we still have inventory out there. But to be quite frank, we've probably been 90% leased, since I've been here in 2018.
Dang.
Right? So it's a very competitive market. And because of that, there are times where guys will actually call in and go, hey, there's no way this is right. I got the email, I logged in, and it was already pending. So I wasn't able, I didn't have a chance to even get it. Well, the problem is a lot of these folks will wait for the email to come through, and we can't control when Yahoo or Google, Gmail or whatever, sends that to you.
Yeah.
So you log on at 8:03, 8:05, 8:07, and
It's pretty much gone,
it's pretty much gone.
especially the primo pieces.
Yes.
It's like throwing a rock through a fan. If it makes it through the other side, that's what the free subscribers get to see. I hate to say it that way, but it's...
Yep. But legitimately, the memberships are set up in a way so that, yes, if you pay more, you're going to have a better opportunity. That's what the wall hanger is, right? And 8 points, they're still... I could go and pull the database today, and a lot of our 8 points have leases.
What all is included in these memberships? Like, obviously, you're kind of getting that first come, first serve basis when it comes to the leases. But what else is included in these memberships?
Well, to help with the value of the membership, we've partnered with, I believe we have over 65 outdoor brands today.
Okay.
Part of BaseCamp Leasing. They've partnered with us, and they're affording industry discounts to our members. And they're good discounts. I mean, they're 30-40% off.
Heck yeah.
Gear.
It's better than paying full price.
That's right. So that really started in 2019, and it was something I thought, these folks that are spending their hard-earned money on memberships, what other value add could we bring to the table?
Yeah.
If they weren't able to get a lease that year, maybe they can make up for it at the very least in discounted products. I mean, last year alone, Will, we saved our hunters over $12,000 in gear.
Dang.
Which to me is pretty darn good. I love that.
Yeah.
It made me feel great.
That's pretty dang good.
And thank goodness for these partners that we have involved that are allowing this to happen. And obviously our goal is, one, we want members, but two is if we can connect them with good quality products at a discount, that it's important to us. And so we're going to continue to evolve that program and bring in more brands, if you will. It's been a great opportunity. We've gotten phenomenal feedback from our current partners today on the success of that and their appreciation for even how we'll market their brand out there to these. I mean, heck, we have over 65,000 members.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty dang good.
Yes. And so if we can afford, just because of our industry contacts, if we can afford these hunters a little reprieve from the day-to-day of going to a big box retailer and spending full price on something, it's very important to us because we all live that. We all buy the same gear and understand it's not cheap.
No, it's not. What's the cost of these memberships?
That's a great question. Connor, $249 for wall hangers, $69 for 8 points, and I believe $29 for the fork horns. And
so for that, outside of the free, you're getting these discounts and then first come, first serve before the rock hits the fan.
Fork horns don't get the discount.
Okay.
We kind of have to.
But they get that first come, first serve.
Yeah. I mean, they get it before the free subscribers, and we have tens of thousands of free subscribers.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So one of the questions I know a lot of listeners probably have, like I do, how are y'all finding these leases?
That's the secret that we can't divulge.
That's a secret sauce? You can't tell me?
Oh, right, yeah. Just kidding.
If you can imagine how, since 1999, how technology has evolved, and these landowners today, they can lease their property on their own.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Our biggest competitor is nobody else in our industry, per se. leasing industry. Our biggest competitor is those landowners that are doing it on their
I was
own.
going to say it's the landowner themselves.
Yes. I can appreciate that. I get that. But I will tell you the value proposition we have at BaseCamp Leasing for these landowners and the protection we give them through a $5 million best-in-class $5 million liability policy that covers the hunters and landowner.
Wow.
And the professional written lease agreement, the way we market it, and we know the demand out there. Folks, these landowners can get a premium for their property. Now, I'm going to get a lot of hate mail on that because as a hunter, you're looking at it and going, and you're making this a rich man's game, right? But here's the kicker. Here's my greatest comeback for that. Because I, to be quite frank, before I worked here, I had the same opinion.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But here's what reality has taught me leading this business is we pay for, as hunters, we pay for camo, we pay for our bows, we pay for our arrows, we pay for everything. Everything to get out there. Are there still public land opportunities? Absolutely, there are. And there are good ones yet.
Oh, yeah.
Right? These landowners that have been providing access for absolutely nothing for years are still paying taxes on that property. They have a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into acquiring that property.
Oh, yeah.
Why wouldn't the landowner get paid for access?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, why wouldn't they?
I think down south where leasing is more mature, Tom, I think people understand that better. In the Midwest, for some reason, to a lot of people, it's still a new concept. So in that sense, there are some hunters out there that don't appreciate what we're actually trying to do.
I love what y'all do because from a hunter's perspective, I look at it as, okay, hold on. You're going out and finding these for me, making it available for me to find. And on top of that, you're kind of bridging the gap between me and the landowner. There's some protection put on top of that. So if something were to happen, it's risk management, right? So, I mean, I wouldn't see why I wouldn't want to have you guys there for me.
I attribute it to very similar to the how difficult it was for old habits to die hard.
Yes.
In the Midwest and Indiana, it took forever for guys to adopt. You need to shoot does. You know that now that we're 10 years past that hurdle. It's the same thing, I think, with understanding. Just because my dad didn't do it, my grandpa has never paid for access. By golly, I'm never going to have to pay for access. I shouldn't have to.
Well, look, your story when you grew up.
Exactly.
It was a different time.
Exactly. It's a different time.
Yeah.
And I think what the most resistance you guys probably see is the guy that hunted that farm for free for all these years. And now he's mad because the landowner is trying to find a way to help offset some costs.
Well, I mean, yeah, things are more expensive today. Look at
it is.
Fuel, property taxes. I mean, I don't know. Do y'all have property taxes up here?
Yeah.
We do.
Okay.
Pretty significant ones at that.
Yeah, we got the same thing in Texas. I mean, you got property taxes. I mean, the cost of everything has gone up. And so they have
the
to
input costs of farming alone is crazy today.
Yeah.
And it's not going to get any better.
I know you still hear it. It's like, by golly, I've never had to pay to hunt, and I never will. Those generations are going to pass eventually. I hate to say it that way, but the younger generation of hunters, I think they have a higher degree and understanding of value, and the experience that you're buying. Just like you said, you're spending thousands of dollars on the best gear you can to give yourself the best chance. Imagine having exclusive access to a very prime farm that nobody else can hunt. Your landowner's protected. You're the only guy that can be there. You can manage that farm.
Yep.
It's going to cost you, maybe it's going to cost you $1,000 or $2,000 a year between you and a couple buddies. But I think most people would say in these times it's worth it.
Right. And
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just being in Texas, I mean, I've seen from where I've gone in my career from managing an archery shop, I couldn't tell you how many new guys were coming in, and they're seeing this rise in popularity of hunting where, okay, hold on, you're telling me I can go and get a bow and I can go and hunt. Now I know where my meat is coming from.
Right.
And then they go and do that for the first time and they're instantly hooked. And then next thing you know, they're coming back in, they're buying the next best bow, they're going and finding a deer lease and they're spending lots of money on it. I mean, it makes sense.
Right.
It makes sense. yeah, I mean, going off of what you're going on, like, yeah, I agree that kind of that generation of, oh, well, I'm not going to pay for hunting. I see that slowly fading.
It is.
So, and some of these guys, I find it comical. I used to run the outdoor adventure program for Cabela's, where we consulted on hunting and fishing trips. And some of these guys are the same guys that'll go out on a 5-day trip and spend $8,000 to hunt a mule deer, or go to a whitetail deer outfitter and pay $5,000 for 5 days.
Yeah.
Well, you can get a heck of a lease for $5,000 and have access to it all year.
Oh yeah, and turkey hunt,
and
predator, or whatever the terms of the agreement are.
Some of these landowners are very hands off. They don't even want to be necessarily involved, and I think that's the beauty of our process is. When we've made these connections with these landowners and they've agreed to be part of our program and list their property with us, that we take care of everything for them. There's really no worries. I love how, we go out there and inspect the property. We collect all the marketing material. We put it out on our website. We send over 180,000 emails a week to our members to make sure that they have the latest and greatest leases that are coming available.
Yep.
All that marketing stuff that we do is for the landowner to make sure that we can get it out there in front of the right people, and these folks can get some supplementary, I don't know what you want to call it, but supplementary income,
Yeah, I was going to say, talk to us, and, you might have a landowner out there right now that just listened to this and you kind of caught their eye. Talk to them about how you're essentially bridging the gap and taking all the work out of their hands.
Absolutely. A lot of these landowners, and they'll know that the days of knocking and talking and going and trying to gain permission to hunt somebody's land. Believe me, you're not the first one to darken their doorway.
Oh yeah.
And many times I think some of the horror stories I've heard from some of our landowners is, thank goodness I found BaseCamp Leasing, because now I don't have to say no. Because some of these landowners will let one person in, and then another person in, then another person in. And before you know it, they've got 8-10 guys out there that are buddies of the original people that they agreed to allow to hunt it. And now they've totally lost control out there.
Yeah.
Right? And so with BaseCamp Leasing, it kind of gives them an out, because usually it's posted that it's a BaseCamp Leasing property.
Yeah.
And no trespassing. And they can clearly say that, no, it's leased. And what's great is, a lot of these landowners that are more involved and they want to meet their hunters formulate great friendships over the years. Some of the stories I have heard about, hey, harvested a deer and landowner came out and wanted to see it. And before you know it, now they're filling their freezer with jerky and back straps. And, they're celebrating together. And it's pretty special to see. Those are the stories I hang on to. And they far outweigh the guys out there that disagree with what we're doing. Believe me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's way more positive feedback.
You don't hear those.
Right.
The public doesn't hear those good stories.
Right. But we see them every day here, and it just gives us that momentum and makes us want to get up in the morning and do it even better and find more landowners and take care of them. Essentially, our hunters are taking care of them. This is what I love about the program. We put thousands of people in the field that normally wouldn't be able to go out and have access to private land.
Yeah.
Why? Because that landowner could have done it on their own. They have probably done it on their own. Or maybe they're in our program and think they still should do it on their own, right? But the liability piece, the way the world has changed, that comfort level and knowing that they're working with a company, a professional company that can handle their lease agreement and not have to worry about finding hunters or the right hunters or all that stuff, all that's taken care of. And the second we get paid, the next day that check's in the mail and it's in their mailbox.
Yeah.
And so they don't have to worry about collecting payment either. We do everything for them. So that access that we're opening up to thousands of hunters makes me feel really, really good, because I know that these hunters are going out there buying a license.
Yep.
They're buying gear that, unfortunately, just bad word, but there's excise taxes and the licensing fees that we pay. All that stuff goes back to
the wildlife
conservation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know some people are listening to this might think, well, that's a stretch, Nate. It really isn't.
Mm-mm.
Because of the access that we're creating for and the opportunities and memories that the small part that we get to play fuels this team like you wouldn't believe. And so it's a pride that we have here in the leasing program specifically, that just makes us want to get up in the morning, like I said, continue to improve and continue to try to find the right landowners that want to be in our program and do it justice.
Well, and I think the landowner will really appreciate what y'all do, especially the ones that don't know about what you do. I think they really will appreciate it, because I've run into landowners in Texas that I found out that the hunters had just gotten off, and I go to them and say, hey, I want to lease this property from you. And they're like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not leasing it anymore. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, the last group of hunters I had, it was an absolute nightmare. I thought I was going to lose my property. It was a nightmare. And knowing what y'all do for them to protect them, I think a lot of landowners will appreciate that and take that headache out of it.
That's an extreme case. And having, again, some experiences prior to coming here, I know that landowners just got sick and tired of being knocked on their door all day long. They're in the field. A guy walks across, and while he's on his tractor, or he's out working on, on his truck in the shop, and some group, they just get tired of that. Then you remove the whole process of letting them go inspect the property and negotiating the price, or do you like it or don't. The agents of BaseCamp Leasing set all that up.
Yeah.
They're the first line of contact if there's an issue. It just removes all that hassle. And from let alone saying I don't have to say no, to taking the babysitting aspect along, fielding complaints or whatever there might be. It's all that's gone.
Yeah.
Right.
So y'all field the complaints and everything. Y'all are the liaison between hunter and landowner.
We absolutely try to be the intermediary. Now, of course, the final decision, the landowner never loses control. It's their property.
Right.
Right. So even before we list a property, our agents will sit down with these landowners and ask, are there exceptions that you don't want to happen out here? Or are there things that you wouldn't mind happen out here? Like, is it okay for the hunters to put in a quarter acre, half acre, full acre food plot out there? Is it okay for them to ride ATVs?
Can they put a cabin out here? That kind of deal.
Well, yeah. Well, I think any structures like that is kind of
iffy.
Yeah, kind of iffy, right? But is it okay if they park an RV over here and they stay there? But where would you like them? Type of deal. I'm not going to lie to you. We've had some hunters that have broken the code in our trust and are no longer allowed to be with BaseCamp Leasing anymore. We take that pretty seriously. For all the hunters out there that do it right, I want to make sure we take care of them.
Oh, absolutely.
The ones that are out there ruining it for everybody else. And we've lost landowners, great properties, because of bad experiences. That is out of our control. But it comes down to, the majority, and I'm telling you, the vast majority, 99% of hunters out there respect their property like it's their own. It's that 1% that just, how bad news travels.
They screw it up for everybody.
I know it. They do. So if we ever have an issue with a hunter on a property and there's issues, we may ask them never to come back to BaseCamp Leasing. And we'll find new hunters for that landowner.
Okay.
We know they're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So y'all have y'all's agents out there that are pretty much going and finding these little honey holes, these gems. They're going out there and they're finding these.
Yeah. We feed them a lot of leads. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Do y'all have a lot of landowners calling in, emailing in, wanting to know, hey, I want to put my property on this?
Yes.
Where can they do that?
They can go to basecamp.leasing.com and just the very first form on there on the homepage, they can fill that out. And once it's submitted, we'll forward that to the respective local agent and they'll be in contact.
So the next part of what y'all do, I want to start diving into the real estate side of things a little bit. But before we do, kind of tell the listeners any little last bit information y'all want them to know on the leasing side of things.
I think it's great for the industry.
I agree.
I wasn't always there, but access is very, very important, highly sought after. Very proud to be part of a company that spends a lot of time and effort and money on finding that access for hunters out there.
I'm going to backtrack just a second. do y'all vet the hunters at all? Like like any of these guys that sign up for memberships, do y'all have any kind of requirements or certain things and information that you have them fill out before y'all?
We have a very crystal clear, I don't know what you want to call it, kind of a code of conduct that they need to read.
Okay.
And when they acknowledge that, yes, because then there is absolutely no excuses.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you, far and away, hunters are very responsible, and good folks.
I think that affidavit that they fill out, if they didn't already, understands the severity of what they're entering into this agreement. But to your point, Nate, I think so many guys are just so appreciative of having access to a prime piece of real estate. They don't want to screw it up.
Yeah.
They really admire and respect that land, and they're the last guy that wants to do something to jeopardize their opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
And once they're in the door, they have first right of renewal. When that lease is up, 2-3 weeks before that lease is up, they're notified, hey, are you going to renew? If you're not going to renew, let us know. And if they don't want to, we get it back out to the general public again. It goes through all of our membership levels.
So on the website, if you go in and you look at the map and it shows by county, you can click around there and see leases, and it'll be kind of darkened out. And this lease is taken. It's full. And you can really tell the ones that are never shown as active again, they just stay. Those guys are perpetually leasing them because they're awesome places.
Yeah, well, we've got landowners and hunters that have been together for 20 years.
God.
Yeah.
See, that's what I found is, it seems like, for example, I've got a friend in Central Texas that they've had hunters out there for close to 20 years. But from what I found out from him recently is they might be getting off. And it's like, I know that bit of information, but I don't want to lease that piece of property because I got my own thing. But it's like, there's people out there that he's asking me like, man, do you know anybody that might want to lease this?
Oh my gosh.
It's like, hey, let me tell you about my friends at BaseCamp. Let me get you on over there.
Help them out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's they're trying to find those next hunters, or they want a good group of hunters. They've had the guys that have been out there, and now they've gotten too old, and they travel 3 hours. They're from the Houston area, and so they travel 3 hours to come hunt this place. But now it's gotten to the point where I guess they've just gotten too old and they can't handle it anymore.
Right.
I think if a landowner understood, a lot of times you're thinking, well, I'm going to make more money if I lease it myself. I don't want to have to pay a broker or a middleman. The minimal charge that comes out of it for the handling fee that BaseCamp Leasing charges, the value add with the insurance policy in itself, and
you couldn't buy that insurance policy.
Well, there's no way
for that.
I guess to be fully transparent with the listeners, if y'all don't mind sharing, I mean, is it from what the landowner pays y'all on that end of it, is it just a percentage, or is it? Okay, so it's a percentage of what the lease costs.
Yes.
Okay. What's that percentage?
It's 25%.
Okay. Got it. That's not bad. I mean, for the protection you're getting and basically getting to be hands off and set the standard of what happens. I mean,
yeah, most would think you're going to give half of your lease value up to a broker, but it's a quarter, and then you add in the...
And there's two trains of thoughts on this company. I've had people call in and they think that we're working in somebody's basement. As you can tell here, Will, it's a nice place.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we're in a big office structure, and we've got our little corner here, but we've got professional staff here that handle that. The other piece is some folks think that we're a huge corporation, that we're just gouging, money and all that. It's not the case. 25%. We've got contracted agents out there that deserve to get paid for their time and travel and marketing the property and all that. And then what's left over is what keeps the lights on. And I'm telling you, it's great to work for a guy like Steve Meng, because when he started this, he was a guy looking for a property and understood how hard it was.
Yeah.
But the last thing I want to put in here is how much that gentleman gives back to the communities. I think it's very important if we can kind of leave off with this. Steve is all about taking care of folks. I've only been here for going on 5 years now.
Yeah.
But it's crystal clear. He wants people to be successful in their career, and he takes care of them. But the way he gives back to the community, like we support farm rescue. Mm-hmm. We support farmers and hunters feeding the hungry. We support Catch a Dream, Delta Waterfowl, their efforts.
Yep.
All this money he donates back and he gives back. is impressive because he doesn't have to. And I think that says a lot about the type of guy he is in the companies that he has established.
Yeah.
And it makes me and this team very, very proud to be part of that, to play a small role in that.
All right, y'all, we're going to interrupt this podcast real quick for a quick word from our sponsors. The HuntStand podcast is brought to you by Lacrosse Footwear, innovating boots that endure with you through every adventure, now and forever forward. The HuntStand podcast is also brought to you by Springfield Armory and Winchester. All right, y'all, we're going to get back to this episode of the HuntStand podcast. Well, I mean, that's the kind of business y'all running. I mean, y'all are looking out for the landowner and the hunters.
Absolutely.
Y'all aren't trying to fill your pockets full of their money. You're giving it to them and you're taking care of them.
Yes.
So that way everybody can enjoy and, like you said, getting access.
Anything that's left over, I promise you, we're spending on marketing to get in front of the right landowners.
Yeah, there you go.
I promise you. Yes.
So speaking of landowners, let's dive into real estate and that side of what y'all do. You know, kind of explain to me, I mean, and the listeners, I mean, are you just selling sole hunting-based properties? Or y'all, like, dive into it? Real estate's out of my forte. I couldn't tell you left from right on it, so I want to learn from you guys on that.
Well, the good thing about our motto is it's more than just dirt. It's a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Speaks to a wide range of types of properties. We understand that a lot of the interest in this industry has been geared towards trophy hunting properties and opportunities to buy land where big bucks exist. That's still a part of who we are, but it's way more than that these days. It's become very apparent to us in the last couple of years, having come through all this, the shutdowns and the whole COVID crisis thing, that our phones began blowing up with just people that wanted a country property. They wanted a country home. They wanted some acreage away from the city, or, whether it was just to live or maybe it was a second home. So we have certainly responded to that demand. And I'll tell you, it's just as in leasing has been a tough nut to crack to provide more inventory.
Yeah.
Inventory in real estate has been really, really slim. It's just, it's such a buyer's market, right? And a seller's market, because there's so many buyers out there. And we cover, we're a little sensitive about maintaining our motto, or our model is that you may not see a home on a quarter-acre lot in a subdivision somewhere on our website. We're still keeping to that rural lifestyle type of a property. Yeah. But we've got places on lakes. We've got buildable lots and just outside of town, all the way up to tillable properties and full-blown big giant timber tracts too, and a big mix of everything in between. We got a lot of stuff out west in Kansas now, and we've just moved into Nebraska recently, so you're going to see a lot of ranch land out there for sale, different things like that.
Man, yeah. Going off what you said, I mean, property has been insane. I mean, Texas, like, we look occasionally, and I'd find a property like, oh, man, I really like that. It was listed a day ago, pending already.
Gone.
Yeah. Like, things are just, they're on fire.
We're coming to Texas.
I like that.
Real soon.
See, I like that. Yeah. I like that for everything. I mean, I'm excited about that.
We are too.
I think a lot of landowners in Texas, when they find out about what all y'all offer, it's gonna take off like wildfire.
I hope so.
So from y'all's website and everything I kind of looked at, y'all also kind of help people understand, we were talking about this at dinner last night, like finding out what the value is of the timber on your property. Now, me being from Texas, I got cedars, I got mesquite. I don't think anybody really wants to come and cut that, right? So tell us more about that and what is offered. Yeah,
we kind of have an internal saying, kind of a joke about the difference between, Jim's real estate company downtown and on Main Street in the middle of town versus folks like us that are really truly land professionals. We train our guys. We handpick every person that comes and works for us. If you don't have the knowledge base that we need to be able to relay that to our clientele, you're not going to work for us. Now, not everybody is as strongly suited in certain segments of that as others, but we also see the opportunity for growth there with guys that have the right willing to learn mindset. Whether that resource be timber or tillable land or mineral rights or cash rent or pasture grazing or potential for cutting hay.
Yeah.
Whatever those income opportunities are, those are value adds to a property. And we have to identify those.
Yeah.
Now, we can't always say you have $150,000 worth of timber here, Mr. Smith, but I can connect you with a quality person that I know is a certified private lands forester that will do exactly that. We can give you really close identifications and say, you have a below average value here, or you have an average, or you have a well above average, and we need to take you to the next level to truly get a 200. And I'm specifically speaking to timber values here.
Right.
I can point to a guy and say, there's a 24-inch white oak, there's an 18-inch walnut. Those are the two highest demand hardwoods in the industry right now, and you've got a lot of money here.
Yeah.
I can help you understand that. I'm not going to take it to the next level of calculating board feet and tell you there's 700 board feet in that log times $1.85 a board foot. That's for the professional to do, but we can help you identify that it's there.
So y'all are just like with the landowners and the hunters on the leasing side of it, y'all are the bridge for many things. Is kind of what I'm understanding.
Yeah.
The bridge for many things. So from that, with the real estate side as well, and land, I mean, are y'all helping guys manage their lands to be optimized for deer hunting as well? Is that something y'all do?
We do have several guys that are very passionate about it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys on our team that have that knowledge base where a landowner, when he's either buying something for one of our guys, personally, I've had a lot of those relationships myself that you develop a friendship when, during the search aspect and helping them find. And when you're walking a property with a guy that he's looking for very specific things, and you become very close with those kinds of guys because they start to respect your knowledge base and your experience. And when you put them into that piece and they close, the phone doesn't stop ringing from there. It's like, hey man, I need your, let's walk this again. Help me design something. We use HuntStand to throw all that stuff into graphics for them.
Absolutely.
And show the locations of all the plots and what those different habitat types may be. There may not be a single food plot on the property, but there may be a whole bunch of timber stand improvement. There might be some orange season grass areas. There might be a spot where you can put an orchard. The trail systems, burn breaks, feather edging. There's all kinds of different management techniques that we incorporate. And a lot of those guys that are buyers have no experience with that whatsoever. So our guys, it's not part of the sale, but it's beyond the sale type of a relationship with our guys and our landowners.
Oh yeah. So that kind of bridges the gap for what I want to talk about next. I don't care how long this podcast is today. Yeah. I want to talk about with having both y'all on here because it really, you saw me taking notes last night at dinner because y'all started saying some things that were making my mind click on this, but I want y'all to talk to the listener that may have just acquired a deer hunting lease or they just acquired a new piece of property. And I specifically want to talk about your place that we were diving into and your place as well, but how they can take that new piece of property and mold it into being a deer hunting paradise. So talk to that guy when they just acquired it and they just came to you. What are the steps that need to be taken?
You want to jump in there first?
Well, first I was that guy, right?
Yeah.
I did have a beautiful, beautiful property in Missouri that was my first baby I bought back in 2012 and did some things to it and tweaked it. And it was a great hunting property even before I bought it. Yeah. Right. It just turned out to be a phenomenal hunting property by the time I had left and moved on to acquiring this property in Indiana. I guess I needed to be honest with myself when I was looking for a new property on how big of a project I wanted. And it turned out that I went all in. You did. Yes. So I guess the process is and now I'm lucky because I got this guy sitting to the left of me, right? That he'd never tell you this, but he's probably one of the best habitat people I know. Yeah. And he's a great whitetail deer hunter, one of the best I know, right? To have that in my corner looking at this property, Tom actually sold me this property. Yeah, it was Tom's listing. I believe he had even sold it to the people before or helped them find other things. I
helped the guys, the fathers and sons that owned it, actually with some habitat work on it years ago. They were local people that I know well, friends of mine. And when when things changed and life got different for them and different directions we're going, they entrusted me to list it for them and maximize the value. But also it allowed me to plug a buddy that was looking for something special into a place with a whole lot of potential.
Well, I think it was maybe April or May or so. Tom and I went and walked this property. I remember it was a dreary kind of rainy day, and walk out. This got the beautiful pole barn on it. It's got electric, water. I think it had a septic. Everything a guy could dream of when I go and hunt this property. I got a place to stay as well and store stuff. Right?
How many acres?
It's 85 acres.
Okay.
Yep. And we walked the property, and I remember after walking it with Tom, we'd kicked up a couple deer. He said he saw some turkeys, but I thought he was trying to sell me the farm. And it was hard to tell if there was a single deer trail on that whole property.
Seriously.
Now, in this county, I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful county, rolling hills, decent hardwoods here and there. But it had a 20-acre field that was filled with fescue that the previous owners had. I'm sure that they were renting it out and getting some money from it. But long story short is you could literally stand on one side of the property on the hill and look and almost see completely through the whole woods. It was almost like a big state park. I mean, it was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, but hardly any wildlife sign that I could think of. And I remember Tom, we got to the north end of the property, and he looks down in the fescue grass, and he pulls up this huge shed. And actually, no, it was a fork.
You were embellishing.
It was a fork, and he's like, "Well, this property's sold," No. But I didn't appreciate what I was looking at that time. I knew I wanted a project, but the lack of sign really had me concerned of. I wonder if there's really good deer even in this area.
Yeah,
because that's what I wanted. I wanted to build something that could hold a good mature whitetail. And see lots of deer. I have two girls that hunt, and getting them out there is very, very important to me, and making sure that it's somewhat of a game-rich environment is important to keep them engaged.
Oh, yeah.
And, gosh, I think maybe a month went by, and I asked Tom, I said, hey, I might go back and look at that property. Just look at it through some different eyes and really see the different access points, because at that point in time, there wasn't really an established road system in there. There was some old logging roads in there. But I was having a hard time figuring out if I bought this property and we started to change the way it looked and felt and could hold big deer and all that, how would I access it, and how could I truly hunt it?
Yeah.
Right? Well, I went back there and I really took a deep dive. I took my time and started walking, and I'll be darned if I didn't find an old logging road on the very east side of that property. And once I found that and walked it, it was so overgrown and ridiculous in there. But I mean, with that said, I mean, you could still see a long ways, but it wasn't a road that stood out to you, right? You couldn't even hardly see it from the main road. And once I found that, I'm like, wow, this changes everything. Because if I could establish some food in that 20 acres of fescue, if I could come up with just 2 or 3 kill plots on this place, and we did some major hinge cutting to formulate some good bedding, I bet you this thing could hold some deer. And what convinced me is Tom, being friends with the previous owners, they had shared when they first bought it 20 years ago, some trail cam pictures that they had over the years. And there was 2 or 3 like, wow, that's a nice deer. That's a nice buck. That's a mature animal, all nocturnal pics and all that. But I'm like, okay, they're here. You just got to build it.
Yeah. If you build it, they will come.
Right. Exactly. That was my mindset. So I think it was, we probably closed on the property 2 years to the date, Tom. I wouldn't doubt it. It's pretty close, within 3 or 4 days. The very next weekend after we closed on it, I had Tom down there, Pat McFadden, a couple other guys that I really respect their value and insight in managing a property and transforming a property to make it a more or less a wildlife haven, right?
Yeah.
And we started talking about all these ideas, and first and foremost, the one thing that stood out for me, I remember Tom and Pat went over the hill, and they're standing there and they're looking at the trees, and they're looking at the maturity of the woods, and what resonated with me is I think Tom had said it is, man, if we just let some sunlight in here, this thing's gonna blow up, and the natural browse is going to come back. It's going to hold deer. It's going to be a lot thicker. Your turkey population is not going to suffer from it. Matter of fact, it's going to create some good nesting areas for them. And I thought, man, I bought it in August. Hunting season starts October 1st. What am I going to do this year? I'll just try to learn as much as I can. I think we try to scrounge up a couple food plots that year in a couple corners of the property along the 20 acres of fescue. And unfortunately, like this year, once we put the seed in the ground, it didn't rain until probably October, and I don't think I had a piece of clover or chicory or anything like that come up. So it was a tough season.
Dang.
So my first year hunting that property, I can tell you, nothing had really changed besides putting in the motion the plan for the following year.
Yeah.
And learning what movement I could see out there, how the deer navigated that property. Well, after seeing that, I thought, man, this is a blank slate. I think we can really put our heads together and come up with a plan where I can manipulate the deer movement. How do I want the deer to move on this property? How do I lead them to the major food sources? How do I get them to stage up in these kill plots? And we put the pen to paper and pulled up HuntStand, and before I knew it, Tom's having me draw these fire breaks around the whole fescue field and plotting out where warm season grasses go within that field to create more nesting and bedding areas for deer. And he says, just be patient with the warm season grasses. You're going to be happy in 3 years, and I had to drink the Kool-Aid right then to get something started to see how it would turn out, 3 or 4 years later.
And those are all important things to think about too whenever you get a new piece of property, rather than just
having that vision.
Yeah, you got to have that vision, because I feel like a lot of guys just look at a piece of property like, I'm going to put a food plot here, I'm going to put a food plot here, and I'm going to put a food plot here. And then the hunting sucks for whatever reason. Yeah, because they're not forward thinking about this vision like you're talking about.
Right. Design with intent. That was everything. I can show you a couple 8x11 sheets of paper with my property on there in my first design. It has changed probably a dozen times since we implemented what we did in 2021. And I was so fortunate. Tom had a gentleman in the logging industry, a very respected individual, that came out and walked the property and said, hey, you do have some marketable timber on here, but it's not going to be a lot. So just know that right out of the gate, you're not going to make a lot of money on this. I was okay with that because it was all about wildlife for me. Yeah. It was all about creating the right habitat.
It's a hunting property.
That's exactly right. Yep. So he walks the property, gives me his assessment, and Tom and I were talking. I was kind of going to do more or less a select cut, if you will, right? And coming to terms with, if I did a select cut, it's probably really not going to do what I want it to do. Tom just said, hey, get aggressive.
Select plus.
Yeah.
Yep. Whereas the minimum would have been 18, diameter of a base. There's places in there where he might have went down to 15.
Yes.
But also in the current situation with the timber industry and the market that we're in right now, and was then, and it's continuing to even get better, is that a tree that is that size that you would have normally waited maybe 8 or 10 more years to get it to 22 or 18 to 20, 22. The value of that log right now, that tree, is more than it would be in 10 years at the normal market rate.
Wow.
So you have the resource. Your objective was hunting and improving it for habitat, not necessarily financial,
right?
But why don't you get a little bit of value add for both? You're going to get a little more money in your pocket, or a lot of more money in your pocket. You're going to get a little more aggressive and reset that property down to more. It's all about the sky. It all is about putting holes in the sky.
and we got aggressive. Matter of fact, Tom says, "Hey, I want to prepare you when you go out there after the loggers have been out there for a week. I want to prepare you for what you're about to see. It literally looked like a tornado hit my property, and honestly, because I had a guy like Tom who's been through this before, it didn't impact me. When I got out there and I saw it, I'm like, okay, it's reset. But here was the key. I want folks to understand this. Here was the key. I partnered with the right logger who understood my vision of a hunting property. Does he hunt? I mean, not that much, but he understood enough how passionate. He listened to how I wanted it designed from a road system, as well as, hey, when you stack these treetops, I want you to block the road. Hey, I want you to create this as a blocker for me when I walk into my future stand. And boy, did they hit it out of the park, right?
Heck yeah.
But the second piece of that was they were done and out of there by the end of March, early April. So because I got it done that early, it had a full first year of growth. And I could not believe after year one, the amount of saplings that were just popping up everywhere in the natural browse and how thick it was year one. And I will tell you, in 2021, he's probably a mid-40s, 4.5-year-old deer out there. And that deer, I don't know if that deer would have been on that property if I didn't get as aggressive as I did with that timber, because I was holding does. And because I was holding does in November, it's not a bad place to be.
No, it is not.
Right.
No, it isn't.
I like that. Something that you said about a tornado. It looked like a tornado went through the property, but a good tornado. And let me quantify what I mean by that, because what Nate, and I'm glad you brought attention to how quality of a guy that he and his crew is, because you don't see trees broke off and hanging that they inadvertently, like, secondhand damage.
Right. Yeah.
You don't see skinned up trees on the trails where they drag the tops by, or the timber logs by as they're leaving. They don't just go in there and willy-nilly crash and drop everything. It's very precisely dropped, placed. Matter of fact, and many times they'll drop and the tops will go over the bank of the ravine, and the top, you can't even tell. You have to go over and look to see where the tree. So they are quality guys. They're not just out there rushing through to get the log. They're doing everything they do with a very high level of strategy and precision and intention.
Right.
That's good to think about.
And I knew that the property, the way it originally set up, the access was going to be an issue, and that's the number one thing I look at when I'm going to buy a property or hunt a property is how am I going to access my stand location? Because we all know going in and out is the most important thing.
It's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything, right? If you can't get that done, the game's over already before you started.
Yeah.
Right? So sitting down with them, pulling up my HuntStand map, and I printed it out. I put all the road system in there that I wanted, using the topography and the contours of the landscape to help me design how I wanted to funnel deer and or leverage those logging trails to be natural trails for deer to come out into what was going to be a destination field for food source for them.
Yeah.
To sit down with the logger and go, this is exactly how I want it done, was I can't put a price tag on it, because they hit it out of the park, right? Now I've got sneak trails going into stand locations. At that point in time, I knew where I wanted to be, but had no stand. But now it's there. I've got box blinds and ladder stands and hang-on stands everywhere I want them, so that depending on the wind direction, I can get in there and hunt. That 85 acres now hunts way bigger than what it did before. Way bigger.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, man, just think about all these things. I mean, y'all are talking about stuff like, me being from Texas, I've never thought about the whole timber cutting and everything. And talk to us about some of the other things that you've done at that place. You've talked about essentially the timber stand improvements. Trying to remember the correct term for whenever you're essentially creating bedding areas.
Hinge cutting.
Talk to us about hinge cutting and how important that is in some of these areas. He's sitting here smiling.
I'm smiling because hinge cutting has become a contentious conversation in wildlife and deer management in the last 5 years or so. Some guys are absolutely adamantly against it.
Why is that?
I'll try to decipher the way I perceive their objections come from.
Okay.
And other guys are really have adopted it and use it very well and get phenomenal results. And there's some highly respected guys that I look up to that make a living being consultants primarily from that aspect of what they do, and that's their primary tool. And it's essentially doing the same thing that a harvest would do, opening up the sky and letting sunlight in. But a strategically done hinge cut also creates on the ground green structure.
Yeah.
Not necessarily always for a food source, but by golly, there's a great benefit too for just having visual security blocking cover on the ground of a viable living tree that's now horizontal versus vertical. Some of the objections that I have recently understood is that you are still not allowing as much sunlight in that pocket as you would have if you would have dead fallen that tree and killed it. And I don't really agree with that, especially depending on the species of trees that you're targeting to hinge.
Yeah.
That's everything is paramount right there. If you don't know how to identify what tree species you have, you shouldn't be in there with a chainsaw in the first place just cutting, because you could be doing more damage than you are good. Well, we can argue depending on how hard you go at it, right?
Yeah.
But in my part of the country, there's 2 or 3 species that are very, very prevalent. They're shade tolerant, and they're going to be competing with the oaks and the hickories and the walnuts and the other things that I want to encourage to grow. So by reducing or eliminating their impact for taking up space among our more desirable trees, I was able to create on the ground cover, allowing my better trees to flourish, to get the most sunlight and nutrients from the resource. But also in those pockets now where I have all these trees that are no longer vertical on the ground, there's absolutely sun getting into that area now and creating lots and lots of additional flushing of growth. Now, he's heard me say it a million times, beech trees are my enemy in our part of the world. So that's what we preliminary target is the beech trees. A tree will live on the ground if you leave enough hinge wood on it when you drop it over. There's enough going up into that top where it will still continue to grow. The deer browse on the beech. It's way, way down the preference list. So it's not really a food source in my area. It's a cover source. It's a screening source for us to access. It's steering deer, pushing them out to a field by a stand. There's different ways and strategies that we use for it. If you cut them up high enough, the deer can travel underneath them. If you want to encourage deer to be to go a certain direction, you cut them lower, hinge them over to create more of a fence line or a barrier. So there's lots of different side steps going into that, things to consider. What I see as another problem is guys that don't know how to properly identify are going in and they're cutting mass trees. They're cutting high value timber trees that would be worth a lot of money in 10 years. And because they just don't know better. I don't think maybe in all the years that I've hinge cut my property, I've ever hinged one oak tree ever, because they're a premium. I want to keep every one that I can. Now, if I had one that was misshapen or damaged or something like that,
then you might. Yeah.
But there are areas of the country, now I got to step back, because there are areas of the country where 99.9% of the species that in the entire woodlot is all oak. So a guy can be very selective. Then he can look at those 2nd or 3rd grade oaks versus the ones that are straighter and reduce competition with the better ones that he wants to allow to stand and benefit. So you can see how everybody's a little bit different in their objectives and what they have to work with, their experience level, and I guess a combination of all those things combined. You know?
So pretty much you need to be looking at species and location.
Exactly. Yeah. Species, location, and what are you trying to do right there on that? Besides opening up the sky, are you wanting just to create a nice little place for them to stage up before they go out? Is this a ridge top where you want to encourage some bedding? Do you want to just really throw a bunch of sun on the ground to blow up food in there? All those things together?
Right.
But, or again, steering.
Definitely. I know this is going to sound dirty. But love my neighbor.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
Great hunter. Seriously, he's salt of the earth. But he he's got a location that was kind of cutting me off, right? And rightly so, it's on his property. I have no issue with that. But I thought, I can dictate how the deer move through my property.
Yeah.
And so in one specific area on my property, we got pretty aggressive with some beech trees over there, and we created more or less it blocks them from moving through his area, right?
Yeah.
With that, they'll still find a way through if they want to get through. But it's tactically and strategically thinking, I wanted deer movement to change on my property and give me a better opportunity to hold deer on my property.
Yep.
And to potentially get an arrow and a big deer.
Oh, yeah.
So we did that. And in some other areas, it was strictly about bedding. I need to create some security. One thing that I'm pretty passionate about, and one thing I've learned from Tom, is the social pressure that deer have. I don't understand it all that great, but I know it's out there.
Yeah.
You can see it if you've ever been to Ohio hunting or you've got your mineral lick out there, and you ever get a picture of a doe on her haunches and she's striking at another deer, and that's pressure. That's social pressure, right? The same thing comes with bedding. If you've got deer that are forced to bed next to each other and they're not, they don't have their own family group, you're ultimately creating pressure. Your property's not going to hold as many deer as it could. So we took that into effect too, and hit a couple areas of the property to make sure that there was plenty of bedding cover in areas I wanted deer to bed, and out of eyesight from other deer. Did I say that right, Tom?
Exactly right. Yeah. Spreading those family units of the different does and their fawns in different areas across the property. What a lot of people may or may not realize is that it's innate in a whitetail buck to give up the best prime locations to the does. That's I'll say it. I'm a believer that it's God's design.
Yeah.
That the female has the best, most secure, nutrient rich environment to raise her fawns. The bucks are secondary, so they'll fall back and let the does have the best of the best.
Yeah.
But if you can create enough of the good ones everywhere, then you've scattered out that pressure. Now they're all going to end up in the food sources at night together, but hopefully you've got enough of that to scatter and spread it out. But it's it's really creating an ample supply of good, private, secure cover where they don't feel like they're on top of each other. And again, bucks tend to gravitate together as the bachelor groups of the summer are developing, and does are raising their fawns, and they'll be in these loose family groups. There may, but to your point, you'll see a doe will protect her fawn from another doe if they get too, especially that old alpha sentinel doe.
It seems like I got dozens of those out there. There's going to be some issues early season here this year. We're going to get some does in the freezer, and that's one thing I learned. And the transformation of this property has been incredible. Just from trail cams, the amount of deer I'm seeing now in that area from the first year I had it is night and day. The quality of bucks that I have coming through, bucks that I brought in last year when I actually was able to plant corn and soybeans out there and establish my food plots.
Yeah.
The deer that I'd never seen before in a full year, now they're on my property, and guess what? Some of them have made my property home. I'm getting pictures of them every day.
Heck yeah.
Right? That's what we're after.
Yeah.
One buck in particular, Colin Blaze, heck, I've got him on camera the first year. I didn't get him until January of 2021. Wow. So I bought it in August of 2020. I got my first picture of him late season because I had the food source. He was there. He's not left my farm since.
Damn.
I love it. Now he's a 4-year-old, maybe a 5-year-old deer, supporting a good rack, and I hope I get a shot at him this year. But if I don't, I'll watch him grow, hopefully, or maybe my neighbor that I try to cut off a little bit now, maybe he'll get him, and I'll celebrate him with him.
May I add one more thing about that? When we create these wonderful improvements, like he's noticed now, he's sucking and holding a lot more deer. Then comes a second level of responsibility, because if now we're increasing that social pressure everywhere, we still have to have the management mindset of balancing our population with the resource that we have.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's going to mean, you know what that means? It means taking a certain number of deer off the farm every year. In the doe segment,
right.
Yeah, so.
And we love venison, so there's That's all right.
No complaints about that. That's a good opportunity to introduce somebody to hunting too. Like if you need to take some extra does off.
Fantastic point. That's what we do.
It's a great opportunity to introduce somebody. Like, hey, do you want some deer meat? I've got plenty in the freezer. Let's go hunt.
Yeah.
Both Tom and I do that on our properties, and it's some of the most enjoyable time. Connor, you were with Connor when he harvested his first deer, and then last year I had him out, and he took another deer on my farm, and just to see him fall in love with the sport is. Yeah, it's pretty dang special.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How important is it to you to talk to your neighbor about the management that you're doing so that they don't shoot every 130-inch 2-year-old buck that you've now cultivated that just happened to slip onto their property in the rut chasing after a doe?
Right. I think it's important. Well, a couple things. One, when I owned my property in Missouri, my gosh, I lived 8 hours away, and I lost sleep because I knew what type of deer were out there. It was a great property when I bought it.
Yeah.
I knew what type of deer were out there. I didn't know my neighbors all that well, but I literally got so stressed out about it. Now with this property, I know who my neighbor is, and I am kind of convinced that he's going to hold out for mature deer. But at the end of the day, I know how he hunts and who he is. And so if he does, I can still celebrate it with him. Knowing that little chunk of 85 acres and the deer that I'm seeing out there now, I'm going to enjoy whether he shoots that 2.5-year-old deer I showed you pictures of earlier and you saw the shed. If he shoots him this year at 3.5 years old, that deer has potential to blow up to be an absolute giant. But I can't control that. I've really had to let go of understanding that it's a big possibility. All I can do in my 85 acres is make it the very best I can to give me the best chance of holding that deer. And if it goes off during a rut and gets shot, I've had to come to terms with that's a very viable possibility for sure.
It's good to be an understanding neighbor.
I had otherwise I was losing sleep. Will
it'll tear you up. I could say just for me, it's just been the older I get, the easier it is to be realistic and sit back and enjoy it. Do all you can to make it as good as you can. Don't sweat the details. You can't. We can't play God. Those deer are in and out of our properties. We're relatively small acreage, right? In a whitetail's home range, that buck could be covering 640 acres just in his summer pat. Well, they're going to have these elliptical areas where they choose to bed and move and feed, and that's going to possibly change and shift when things start to change and they disperse and all that. So we get that, but it's just like if it was meant to be, we do the best we can to keep them there. And the awesome thing is that there's always the strange interloper that comes in on us too.
That was the deer I killed last year.
Yeah. Well, and it's just good to have an open line of communication with your neighbor and cultivate that relationship. Go over there, drink a beer or two with him, and talk about the deer. And
Nate's got a great scenario there with his guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you got that, then y'all are kind of on the same page.
Yeah, and I've. He is starting to see the results. When we first logged the property, boy,
he wasn't happy with you.
He wasn't happy, and I didn't blame him.
Because you opened it up.
Yes. Yep. And it has turned into now, hey, Nate, I'm seeing how your chicory and clover plots look and your fire breaks look and the warm season grass is coming up and my gosh, you're putting corn in and I've never seen so many deer around here. And he's got 40 acres that abuts up to me. And it's probably in that area the best 40 acres you could hunt.
Wow.
Okay? He's got a prime location. I'm over there helping him now.
Yeah.
Helping him put in food plots. If he's successful, I'm happy for him. And if I can make that piece a little bit better, maybe he draws in a buck that my property wasn't going to. And you just never know. So why go against the grain? Try to embrace your neighbor and be a good neighbor.
Exactly. Tell us, what are some other things you've done in that piece of property to create this haven?
I think one of the most important pieces is I'll talk about the 20 acres because we can't discount that. We've done everything we can to the timber, in my opinion. And the road system I had the loggers put in there has been very, very vital to my success last year and future success.
Yeah.
But that 20 acres just being in fescue, I will tell you I really struggled with how to diversify the habitat in that 20 acres. to make it, truly part of the property to help hold deer, not just as a food source, but just structurally give them a sanctuary when they're out there feeding even. So putting in those warm season grasses, I think was a huge step.
Yeah.
I will tell you, even the natural grasses that are coming up in there now.
Well, yeah, his wild forbs and broadleaf weeds and things that are coming up out there are native food sources for those deer. And he's created a mosaic. That thing was a monoculture flat landscape of pasture, fescue pasture. And if you walk out there today, you see different heights, different layers, different tunnels and roads going to different. You can't see over there until you go around that corner. So it's
exactly right.
It is. And the fun thing about this is it's not rocket science. There's really some basic necessities we're fulfilling: food cover, water, shelter, escape cover, security. Yeah. But it's how you play with those different segments. And it's almost like an artist can take the same farm and paint a picture. 10 different artists will paint 10 different pictures.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
It's so much about wildlife management and design is Ford, Chevy, Dodge. It's just different strokes for different folks, and you might rely on somebody to help you. But what I liked about what Nate did, he wanted to get going that first year, and he had some preliminary thoughts on paper, and on mapping. But when he sat through that first season and watched how the deer already are normally moving and going from here to there, and then thought, they're going that way because of the contour of this hillside. They're popping up here because of the saddle. So knowing that kind of information, then you set a second set down and looking at it. Maybe I should, instead of this, I'm going to move it over here slightly, or I'm going to cut this angle off a little differently.
Yeah.
And that's pretty smart, that you don't just want to go in and force things to happen because you have this idea in your head what it should look like.
Absolutely.
Bend it to what the wildlife want to do.
And part of it, how Tom was talking about the different height of things. We've got corn, we've got soybeans, we've got warm season grasses out there now. I've got clover trails around the property as fire breaks, and a couple spots leading directly through the field to help me get from my stand on the edge of the field back to the barn without being noticed. They may smell me, but they're not going to see me.
Right.
And it's important. Again, that entrance and exit is so important. Literally took 20 acres you couldn't hunt in the morning. I'm telling you, it was so tough to hunt in the morning because the second you left that barn, if there were any deer eating any clover in that fescue, you bumped them. God. It didn't matter. And I could make my way down the driveway as stealthy as I wanted to, or jump in the truck and drive down and try to get into another stand. I'd already bumped the deer off that food source. Today, I can walk out of that barn and have deer 25 yards from me. I've seen them because I've been just tall enough above the warm season grasses, and they're feeding 25 yards in the soybean plot right from my barn and have no clue.
Man.
Yeah, that's the most exciting part of the whole farm to me is the timber stand improvement, and as well as the road system is one thing, but taking that 20 acres and really diversifying the structure, the food, etc. in there has just been eye-opening for me on what you can do with an open field. Yep.
I bet you're real excited to see what's going to happen this fall.
Just keeps getting better.
Gosh.
I know. Next year's going to be year 3 of new growth. This year, I'll tell you, it's over my head already, the new growth in there. So next year, it's going to be even better. I'll probably have some work to do, trimming out some trails and all that, but my stands are in where I need them to be, and now it's just in kind of enjoy what you're doing. Now, the maintenance on this stuff isn't, you're constantly on it.
Yeah.
We're spraying, our clover plots with a Mazzacast and trying to knock down the weeds and making sure everything's mowed up nice and Roundup ready corn and beans, and it's all fun work.
There's so many layers
it's fun
to
work.
it.
Yeah.
It's the part that we enjoy. Because you're connected 365. It's just, it's not a hunting season or 2 weeks before season. It's year round for guys like us.
Oh, absolutely.
To the point of detailing even and being good practitioners of agricultural practices too, like Roundup resistant weeds these days. So we're combating mare's tail and pigweed and water hemp and Palmer Amaranth and different things like that with
Yeah.
with variable herbicides that the farmers are developing, or that technology is there for the farmers. So we have to be good stewards as well.
Yeah, and using no-till implements. And I mean, Tom turned me on. He actually helped me plant corn and beans the first year. You have a 4-row?
It's a 4-row John Deere with no-till setup.
Yeah. And so he talked me into getting my own. I bought a 6-row, and I know it's overkill, but I love it, man. I like to play farmer out there. I enjoy my tractor time, and
better to have it and not
therapy.
need it than need it and not have it.
Yes,
That's my motto in life.
But it's great. Just I will tell you how meticulous Tom is. If you're ever out on his farm and he's in his buggy and you're driving, I don't care if you're going to check cameras or if you're checking a deer stand out to make sure it's okay.
Yeah.
If there's it's not even a substantial stick on one of his roads, that buggy stops. And he picks it up and he moves it off to the side. He's such a stickler about
No pun intended there.
Stickler.
Yes.
No pun intended there.
Such a stickler about just being covert.
That's
in
the
entrance
reason why.
and exit. And I've learned a lot from. I don't know how your back takes it, but it's unreal the type of detail Tom puts into it. And so I'm getting there. I'm not quite there, but I found myself doing that a couple weeks ago.
I'm the same way. I mean, I've got a couple of stand locations that they're in some oak mott's. And last year, my dad's hunting that property. My brother's hunting that property with me now. But last year, I took my dad out there for the first time to see it. You know, he hung some stands with me, and he started seeing me raking. I was raking a path of all these leaves and sticks out of this oak mott. And he goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Why are you raking all these leaves up? You know, you're going to walk over me." I was like, "No." I was like, "I'm getting into this stand nice and quiet. The deer aren't going to hear me. They're not going to know." He goes, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yep." I said, "I take it that damn serious."
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said that, because people would think, man, that guy's a control freak picking up all the sticks in the woods. Because, man, and I have been absent for a while and come back and the roads are all covered with branches. But if you kind of manage it and do it through the year when they fall, October, that first cold front, we're slipping in there, man, in the dark, and it's quiet as a mouse. You're not worried about cracking a stick and sounding like you're walking on a box of crackers.
Right.
You might have some leaves, but you're not having to worry about that.
That's right. Yeah,
Absolutely.
There's so much, man. I am probably way off the charts concerned about not letting a deer know that I'm hunting them, about getting out and getting in without being seen. And blowing a deer off of a plot or a field. I take that as almost the highest priority of my mission, is to stay. I don't want those deer to know that I'm hunting them, because it's on a small property. It begins to change the entire behavior of the herd. And you may not have bumped that buck, but the body language of that doe the next time she comes up there and is stomping and walking, pacing back and forth, sends a signal through all those
flags.
Exactly right. So
the
more fresh you can keep your place, it's so imperative.
Oh,
really
absolutely. I mean, I've gone to great lengths when I'm hunting that if I have deer sitting in front of me and I'm at a tree stand, they're 20 yards out, I've waited till almost 10 o'clock at night to get out of there.
Yeah.
And I've had to. And it might suck a little bit, but I've waited because I don't want to blow that area up, because I know there's a big buck in there and I want to hunt him the next morning.
Exactly.
Right.
So many guys just like, they're just deer. They'll be back tomorrow, and they'll just climb on down and walk on through them. But those are the guys that are always asking, why can't I kill a big deer?
Yeah.
I've trained my girls to bark and howl like a coyote too. So
we've done that.
Yeah.
Or like if I'm in a stand that, there's a road that comes by it.
Sure.
I'll text one of the, like my dad or
Please
somebody that
drive
I'm hunting with,
by.
like, drive by, like,
Yeah.
please drive up.
That's a
so I
great-
can get out of here.
great way to do it if you
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
So, well, guys, I love everything that we've gotten to talk about. Talking BaseCamp, talking how to evolve a piece of property. Tell the listeners, to wrap things up, kind of any last minute things you want to talk about on BaseCamp. Kind of tell them where they can find y'all, where they can go if they want to get included in one of the memberships, and anything else you want them to know.
Absolutely. On the leasing side, BaseCampLeasing.com is where you need to go. We're more than happy to help folks out, landowners, hunters alike. We're going to continue to evolve this program for them and bring better services to them. So we're just excited to be part of doing something special for both hunters and landowners.
Absolutely.
We're basecampcountry.com. You can get on there and see all the properties that we have for sale. If you're a landowner that wants to consider selling a property, you can see our agents and the places of each state that they cover. There's a no charge assessment. We can come out to your place, check it out, and give you an idea what it's worth in the market right now. Us as a company pay a premium fee to have our listings on the top search engines in the country. So you have no disadvantage, only an advantage going with us versus our competitors. Our commission fees are structured the same. We are, or better, and we are on every platform out there that any other company is on in this big game. We're heads and shoulders above the local mom and pop type real estate agencies. If you're a guy that's listening to this, you're a passionate outdoorsman, and you maybe have an interest in this kind of a lifestyle and this kind of a career, we're actively seeking good qualified people, and you don't necessarily have to have a license. That's obviously awesome if you do. But we are obviously looking for the right kind of people that fit this mold. And we're in 9 states. We just moved into Nebraska. Texas is next on the radar. We've got a couple other states that we're squarely in our sights. So if you're interested in a career opportunity, give us a call, send us a message, and we'd love to talk to you.
Oh, we'd love to talk to you.
Love it. Well, I will definitely have all y'all's information down in the description below. Gentlemen, thanks for having me here, and thanks for hopping on the podcast with me.
It's been super awesome.
Man, you're part of the BaseCamp family now.
Heck yeah, man. I'm going to definitely have to come back. Need to see that property, too.
Yes.
There you go, everybody. We just want to thank y'all for tuning into the HuntStand podcast. Hopefully you're able to learn a lot more about BaseCamp leasing and country real estate from Nathan and Tom, and listening to us go down a couple rabbit holes. But either way, we just want to say thank you for tuning into the HuntStand podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.